There was no increased risk of cardiovascular disease or mortality when we looked at cardiorespiratory fitness. So if we factor in cardiorespiratory fitness, your BMI doesn't matter that much. What really matters is your heart health, that fitness that you have created from exercise.
So if you can't do what we just discussed, right? So what do you do now? Well, you can wash them. Washing them thoroughly removes a little bit of pesticide, but not really a lot.
So a good example of the differences in obesity rates is in the Netherlands. The obesity rate in the Netherlands is significantly lower than in the United States. So as of 2023, about 16% of adults in the Netherlands were classified as obese. And you can compare that to the US, where that number is much higher at about 42%.
I recognize how using the term obesity or talking about her being overweight may have elicited a number of negative emotions.
The followers sharing and spreading this information are spreading misinformation because they really don't intend to harm anyone. But the Instagrammer who is spreading is spreading disinformation, because the intention is to manipulate people to buy their books or their videos.
Okay, what's really going on with my body? When did I last eat? Am I actually physically hungry? And if the answer is yes, then it's easier to make a better choice with intention to decide what you're going to eat and not just go for the first thing you see.
And so something to consider when addressing obesity in an aging population is the frailty paradox. And so essentially what that means is we want to help people lose weight, but at the same time, we don't want to make them frail.
In the scenario of using anti-obesity medications, we know that people are having less energy intake or caloric intake. And so number one, we want to make sure that we're emphasizing the consumption of more nutrient-dense foods, because I tell people, you got to focus on getting what you need now.
We have to consider, as we're looking at all of these metrics, let's say fasting blood glucose that I'm getting on my patients. Well, technically, we define above 100 as abnormal, or 100 and above is abnormal, but is fasting blood glucose of 99 really normal versus, an abnormal of 101?
To be specific, it can have higher ratios of omega-6 fatty acids to omega-3 fatty acids. And certainly when we think about omega fatty acids in general, we think of them in a good light. However, omega-6 fatty acids should be consumed and in a higher amount than omega-3 fatty acids. However, most of us are already getting that selective ratio in our diets. So we don't need to add extra omega-6 fatty acid sources because that could be detrimental.